A young man, just 19 years old, standing at the gates of UC Berkeley, in his hand just a microphone and an unshakable belief. No one could predict what would happen that day, because Charlie Kirk had come to challenge America's most liberal campus. But what he didn't know yet was that he was about to face the biggest turning point of his life. Charlie's arrival at Berkeley wasn't a coincidence. 3 weeks earlier, a viral Twitter video had forced him to speak here. Those chaotic moments when Berkeley students tried to silence conservative speaker Ben Shapiro. When Charlie watched those videos, something stirred inside him. It wasn't anger. It was something deeper, a sense of justice. "This can't go on," he had said to himself. That night, sitting at his laptop, he had reached out to student organizations at Berkeley, but nobody wanted him. They wouldn't even reply to his emails, until an unexpected message came from Sarah Morrison. "Hello, Charlie. I'm Sarah, president of the Berkeley Progressive Students Alliance. I want to talk to you, but I have conditions. Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, the youngest and most controversial figure in the conservative movement." But there was something most people didn't know. Charlie hadn't actually grown up in a very conservative family. His mother was a Democrat, his father a politically exhausted man. Charlie's conservatism wasn't family tradition, it was a personal choice. An incident when he was 16 had changed him. He had received disciplinary action for wearing an America First t-shirt to school. That day, he understood how fragile free speech could be. And from that day forward, he decided to be the voice for young people who couldn't speak up. Who was Sarah Morrison? One of Berkeley's most influential student leaders, but her story was far more complex than anyone thought. She came from Ohio, from a lower middle-class family. Her father was a factory worker, her mother a nurse. Her progressivism had been born from personal trauma. In her senior year of high school, her best friend Emily had committed suicide due to depression. Emily had been kicked out of her home after coming out as gay to her family, forced to live on the streets. That day, Sarah understood how unfair the system could be. When she came to Berkeley, she had one goal. No one should be left alone like Emily. And that's why she found people like Charlie Kirk dangerous. Their rhetoric further isolated vulnerable young people like Emily. But the most shocking thing hadn't even begun yet. Berkeley campus has been known as the heart of the free speech movement since the 1960s. Ironic, isn't it? The place where free speech was born was now trying to silence conservative ideas. Charlie knew this, and that's exactly why he was there. The truth was, both of them sensed that day wouldn't be just an ordinary political event. There was electricity in the air, the scent of change. Have you ever stood somewhere where the whole world seemed against you, fighting for something you believed in? Charlie was experiencing exactly that day. His heart was beating fast, but there was no hesitation in his voice, because he knew that at that moment he wasn't just speaking for himself, but for millions of young people who couldn't make their voices heard. That morning, sitting in his hotel room, Charlie had written a completely new speech. He had thrown away the planned aggressive rhetoric, choosing instead a more personal, more vulnerable approach. "Today will be different," he had said to himself in the mirror. "Today they'll see the real Charlie Kirk." Exactly 2 p.m. When Charlie entered Sproul Plaza, about 800 students had gathered. Students hadn't come to see Charlie, they had come to silence him. Banners reading "Fascist Go Home," angry faces, but Charlie didn't care about these. His eyes were searching for Sarah Morrison. When he saw Sarah, his heart stopped for a moment. Sarah stood calmly amidst the surrounding chaos, like the calm in the eye of a storm. As he approached the podium, boos and shouts began. "Nazi go home! Fascist!" But when Charlie approached his microphone, he said something unexpected. "I'm happy to be here," Charlie said, his voice calm but strong, "because this is where free speech was born in America. And today, I want to honor that tradition." The crowd fell silent for a moment. This wasn't the opening they expected. This is exactly when everything changed. A student stood up from the crowd. Sarah Morrison, one of Berkeley's most active progressive student leaders. Charlie recognized her immediately. But the question Sarah asked Charlie was very different from what everyone expected. "Charlie," Sarah said, with unexpected calm in her voice, "do you really believe in free speech, or are you just fighting for your own views?" The crowd fell silent. This question had surprised both Charlie and the other students. They expected an aggressive attack, but a thought-provoking question had come instead. Charlie paused for a moment. This question was different from the thousands of aggressive questions directed at him. It was sincere. And Charlie had to make an important decision at that moment. Would he give one of his prepared answers, or would he be truly honest? He looked at the crowd. Hundreds of pairs of eyes were watching him, some angry, some curious, some hopeful. Yes, hopeful, as if they wanted to believe that real dialogue might be possible. Charlie made a decision at that moment, a decision that would risk his career and surprise his supporters. He would tell the truth. "Sarah," Charlie said, bringing his microphone a little closer, "that's a very good question. And to be honest, I've had to face this question myself." The crowd fell silent. This wasn't the response they expected from Charlie Kirk. "You know, Sarah," Charlie continued, "when I received your email 3 weeks ago, my first reaction was anger. But then I read that email again, and again, and I realized something." Charlie paused, took a breath. "You had asked me a real question, and I couldn't answer that question. You know, Sarah, I was at Berkeley once too. I was 16 years old, and I talked to a professor here, Professor Williams. He told me, 'Charlie, if you really believe in free speech, you must also have the courage to question your own beliefs.'" Charlie looked at the crowd. "I didn't listen to him that day. Because I was right, he was wrong. At least, that's what I thought. Professor Williams told me about Mario Savio, Berkeley's free speech movement leader. In 1964, right here, Savio climbed onto a police car to defend students' right to speak. But Williams also told me the other side's story. Everyone thought they were right. You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet." "Sarah," Charlie said with new determination in his voice, "you are absolutely right. Your organization openly supports hostile policies against LGBTQ+ students, and that's why I want to do something else here today." The crowd waited curiously. What was Charlie referring to? "But Sarah, let me ask you a question too. Do you know if I know Emily's story?" "Because I do." Sarah was surprised. How did Charlie know Emily? 3 weeks ago, after your email, I researched you, Sarah, and I read Emily Morrison's story, your best friend, and I was very affected by that story." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. How did Charlie know Emily? "Emily Morrison's story affected me deeply, Sarah," Charlie said, his voice softening. "An 18-year-old young person kicked out by her family just for saying who she was. And the system, our system, couldn't protect her." Charlie turned to the crowd. "Emily's story made me question my political views. Because if the values I defend cost the life of a young person like Emily, maybe I'm defending the wrong things." There was deep silence in Sproul Plaza. Nobody expected such a confession from Charlie. Sarah was trying to hold back her tears. "Charlie, did you really research Emily?" "Yes, Sarah, and what I understood is this. You and I actually want the same thing. We're just pursuing it in different ways." "First, I owe Sarah an apology," Charlie said with new determination in his voice. "What Emily went through was partly the result of the political atmosphere I also supported. This apology won't bring her back, but at least I can strive to prevent similar tragedies." "But now let me tell you something," Charlie said. "After this speech, I want to do something with you here. Something you never expected. You won't believe this, but I propose to be here next week, same time, same place. But this time it will be different. This time I'll give the microphone to Sarah. For an hour, you'll explain your progressive values, your views, and I'll sit across from you and just listen." The crowd was shocked. They had never heard such a thing before. Was Charlie Kirk surrendering his stage to liberal students? "But that's not enough," Charlie continued. "I will also make structural changes at Turning Point USA. I'll start programs where we listen to stories of young people like Emily. Because this is what real free speech means, Charlie said. Not just shouting our own views, listening to opposing views, trying to understand them, even sometimes giving them our platform. Sarah looked at Charlie in astonishment. Are you serious? I've never been more serious. But Sarah, I want something from you too. You listen to my story too. Because maybe together, we can build a future where we don't lose young people like Emily. At this point, the atmosphere in Sproul Plaza had completely changed. Students had lowered their phones and were really listening. Indeed, there were tears in Charlie's eyes. This moment was being recorded by dozens of students on campus. Videos immediately began spreading on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Kirk Berkeley became trending. But this time, the reason was the complete opposite of what was expected. The most viral tweet came from Sarah. Sometimes change comes from the most unexpected places. Emily, this is for you. Kirk Berkeley, you're Emily Morrison. That evening, Charlie was sitting in his hotel evaluating the day. His phone was constantly ringing. Media, his party, supporters, everyone was trying to understand what he had done that day. But the most important call came from Sarah. Charlie, what you said today, was that real? Sarah, Charlie said in a tired but determined voice, today I said the most real words of my life. That night Charlie couldn't sleep. His supporters were criticizing him. WhatsApp groups were talking about him. Charlie Kirk finished. This is the end of TPUSA. But Charlie's father had also called, son, what do you think you're doing? You're ruining your career. Charlie had given his father this answer. Dad, maybe I'm ruining my career. But maybe I'm finding my real character. Sarah called Charlie the next night. Charlie, I thought about what you said yesterday, and I have a proposal for you too. If you really believe in this, why limit it to just one speech? Would you like to start a dialogue series at Berkeley to build a real bridge between conservatives and liberals? But Sarah's proposal was much more comprehensive. Monthly regular dialogue sessions, Emily Morrison Memorial Fund, scholarship program for disadvantaged youth, Bridging Differences podcast series, Charlie and Sarah's joint program, National Expansion, similar projects at 50 universities. And Charlie, Sarah said, I want one more thing from you. I want you to meet Emily's family. Charlie's answer would shock everyone. Sarah, that's a great idea, but I have one condition. Let's not keep this just at Berkeley. Let's do this across all of America. And I'll also change Turning Point USA's mission. Instead of defeating liberals, our new goal will be strengthening American democracy by understanding different views. Sarah, Charlie said, after learning Emily's story, I realized there are more important things than my career. And so, a day that began with hatred at Berkeley led to the birth of a nationwide dialogue movement. Charlie Kirk and Sarah Morrison united around a common mission despite ideological differences. The Bridge America national movement included dialogue sessions at 200 universities in 50 states online, platform, bridgeamerica.org, Emily's Law campaign, LGBTQ plus student rights on campuses, annual Unity Conference, 10,000 young participants. 2 weeks later, Charlie met Emily's family through a visit organized by Sarah. Emily's mother, Mary Morrison, and father David Morrison received Charlie at their home in Ohio. Charlie, said Mary Morrison, your organization targets children like Emily. Why should I trust you? Charlie's eyes filled with tears. Mrs. Morrison, Emily's story changed me, and I want to honor Emily's memory. Then Mary Morrison said something unexpected. Charlie, would you like to see Emily's room? Emily's room had been preserved exactly as it was. Charlie saw a letter on Emily's desk. It's the last letter Emily wrote before her suicide, said Mary Morrison, but she never managed to send it. Charlie read the letter. In it, Emily had written, one day, maybe different people will come together and create a world where children like me can be safe. I won't be able to see that day, but I hope others will. Charlie completely broke down at that moment. Mrs. Morrison, this letter seems to describe our plan today. 6 months later, The Bridge America project had spread to 50 universities, but a major crisis was approaching. Conservative megadonor William Harrington threatened to withdraw his $5 million donation to Turning Point USA. "Charlie Kirk no longer represents us," Harrington said on Fox News Live. "He's serving the liberal agenda." At the same time, some progressive groups at Berkeley started a vote of no confidence against Sarah. Charlie and Sarah met in their most difficult decision moments at a cafe in Palo Alto. "Charlie," Sarah said, her hands trembling, "maybe this is too early. I'm losing my student leadership. You're losing TPUSA too." Charlie put his coffee cup on the table. "Sarah, was Emily ready when she ended her life? We must be ready for her." "Sarah, if Emily's story taught us anything, it's that some things are worth losing." Charlie and Sarah decided to make one last big move. They convinced Harvard University to invite them as speakers at the Future of Democracy conference. On the day of the conference, 5,000 people filled Harvard Stadium. 2 million people watched the live broadcast. When Charlie took the stage, "Hello, Harvard, I'm Charlie Kirk. And 6 months ago, I was confronted with a question at Berkeley. Do you really believe in free speech? That question changed my life." Then Sarah took the stage. "I'm Sarah Morrison. And 6 months ago, I hated Charlie Kirk. Today, I see him as one of my best friends." Then, something unexpected happened. Mary Morrison took the stage. "I'm Mary Morrison, Emily Morrison's mother." The stadium fell silent. "Emily's story turned into tragedy," Mary said, "but what Charlie and Sarah are doing gives meaning to Emily's death." The dream Emily wrote about in her last letter is coming true. At that moment, all 5,000 people stood up and applauded, and Charlie and Sarah hugged while crying. A year later, Charlie and Sarah were posing side by side on the cover of Time magazine. The headline read, "The Bridge Builders: How Two Enemies Became America's Hope." The statistics were impressive. Bridge America chapters at 200 universities, 50,000 active members, 500,000 online community members, 73% of participants. "I became more tolerant of opposing views." Emily Morrison. Memorial Fund, $2 million scholarship fund. Charlie smiles when he remembers that day today. "Berkeley hated me, but Berkeley also taught me the most valuable lesson," he says. "Listening to the other side is not weakness, it's strength. And sometimes our enemies are our best teachers." Emily's story changed my life. I never met her, but I love her like a sister, because Emily taught me true empathy. I lost TPUSA, but I found my soul. And this trade-off was the best deal I ever made in my life. Sarah experiences similar feelings. "Charlie and I don't agree on everything," she says, "but we absolutely agree on one thing. Dialogue is stronger than conflict. Emily taught us that." The Bridge America project wasn't just a political movement, it was an indication of what American democracy could be. Thousands of young people inspired by the project started similar initiatives on their own campuses. This movement, known as the Emily Morrison effect, spread across America. But the story doesn't end here. Because there was one more thing Charlie said to Sarah that day at Berkeley. Something he said when the microphones were off that only she heard. And this promise would completely change both of their lives. You'll learn what that promise was in the next video. Because Charlie Kirk's Berkeley story was actually just the beginning of a bigger story. And the real surprise hasn't come yet. Hint, this promise will change not only Charlie and Sarah's future, but all of America's. And it might just fulfill Emily Morrison's greatest dream from her final letter. If you're curious about Charlie's complete Berkeley story and that life-changing secret promise he made to Sarah, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And tell us in the comments, if you were in Charlie's place, would you have taken the same risk? If you want to join the Bridge America movement, visit bridgeamerica.org. Because maybe there's an Emily on your campus too. And before that Emily's story turns into tragedy, we can all do something together. Because sometimes the greatest victories come in unexpected places, in unexpected ways. Berkeley changed Charlie Kirk, Charlie changed Sarah, Sarah kept Emily's memory alive. And Emily taught each of us this: love is stronger than hate. Berkeley hated Charlie Kirk. But what about now? Now Berkeley is remembered as the place that changed Charlie Kirk. And maybe the real question is, who do you hate? And could that hatred actually become a bridge? The answer in the next video, along with Emily Morrison's final secret.